If you can't respect the woman who cleaned your mess as a child, you don't deserve respect from anyone. I don't care how independent you think you are. If you talk back to your mother, you're acting like a coward. She wiped your tears. She fought the world to protect you. And she loved you when you were at your ugliest. Now that you think you're a grown-up, you treat her like she's a burden? That is not adulthood. That is moral decay. You are setting yourself up for a life of misery. Because when she's gone, you'll realize you had the only real love you'll ever get, and you threw it away.
It saddens my heart watching some parents ambition over their children. I cannot imagine a parent that will carry you, nurtured you, take care of you and all your needs, only for you to grow up and turn against your parents. The adolescent age is something that we really need to sit our children down, bring them to the full knowledge of it, so that we don't end up regretting having these kids. Well, I don't want to talk more about these clips. I want to allow you to watch them yourself. Then we'll come back for more commentaries. Welcome back to the Voice of Reality.
The narcissistic daughter. When you are the mother of a narcissistic daughter, it can be absolutely heartbreaking because nobody talks about the emotional pain of feeling like your own child sees you as the enemy. You notice it in the tone of her voice, the eye rolls, the constant criticism, the disrespect, and the way that almost everything you say gets twisted into an argument, especially if you start asking yourself, where did I go wrong? But here is what many people do not realize. Sometimes it isn't about one mistake you made. Sometimes a daughter with strong narcissistic traits chooses one person to blame for the pain that she is unwilling to face herself. Maybe you left an abusive relationship and she resents you for the changes that followed. Maybe you worked long hours just to provide and all she remembers that you were tired and not there. Maybe you set healthy rules, expected responsibility, and held her accountable. To someone with narcissistic traits, accountability can feel like a personal attack. Over time, you become the villain in her story instead of the parent who was doing the best that they could. You become her emotional dumping ground for her anger, projection, and unresolved wounds. But hear me, friend, being someone's mother does not require you to tolerate emotional abuse. You do not have to go no contact if you're not ready. But you can step back. You can stop over-explaining and stop chasing approval and stop sacrificing your peace to keep the relationship alive. Healthy boundaries are not punishment. They are protection. You can calmly say, I won't continue this conversation if I'm being disrespected. You can say, I'm here when we can speak respectfully, and you can love your daughter without abandoning yourself. 100% you can. Because one of the most important lessons in healing from narcissistic abuse is this. People learn how to treat you by what you consistently allow and what you no longer tolerate. Think about that. And as always, remember, friends, around here, we are all healing out loud together. And if you still need just a little bit more clarity on...
Listen, I don't get it. It couldn't be me. And I wasn't even raised by my mother. But all this adult kids turning against their parents, it's crazy. Moms, dads, just be careful because nothing is going to prepare you for the day that your own child is going to become your worst enemy.
To the parent who did their best, this message is for you. If you were the parent who did not walk away or walked away for your children's safety and your peace and safety, you are seen. If you went to work or stayed home to nurture your children, you were seen. Came out of your own comfort zone to make sure that they were first, this is for you. I'm not talking about a perfect parent because there is none. I'm talking about if you parented with the tools you had, the best way that you could to make sure you had a place, a warm place or a cool place for your children to survive in, this is for you. You are seen, you are loved, you are appreciated. Never let anybody make you doubt the sacrifices that you have already made, the love that you have already given, and the time and the sacrifice that was already spent. You've done the best that you can do. Hold your head up. Honor yourself. Bake yourself a cake because you deserved to be loved by you the right way. The same love that you poured in to those children who are now grown and lie or never even appreciate, I want you to know you're appreciated. When outsiders continue to convince your children that you didn't do enough, you're appreciated. You are loved. Self-love, self-compassion. I'm not talking about parents who are abusive, who are harming their children intentionally. I'm talking about the parents who took a stand with the only ground they had as foundation. You are good parents. And I want you to know you may not always get an applause, but today is your applause. You are loved.
Am I overreacting? My children have hurt me deeply. Single mom, 14-year-old boy, 11-year-old girl. My kids went on a trip for 6 days. I tried calling them over and over again, but they didn't answer my calls. They never tried to call me even once. I asked him to send me pictures and nothing. I got a picture of a hand. When I asked my daughter for a picture from her birthday, she sent me a picture of 3 other people wishing her happy birthday in a video message. I feel so upset that they don't care to share anything about their lives with me right now. As soon as they're around their father, we're divorced. And they were at the beach, they did all kinds of fun things, and none of which I know about. I don't know what my daughter did for her 11th birthday, literally no idea. They walked in the home today, and normally they would give me a big hug, and I would give them one. We'd be so happy to see each other. But they just once again paid me no attention and left. My daughter has slept in my bed. She's been my bestie for years. I'm her closest confidant, but she won't share anything when she's around Dad. Every time she comes back from seeing him, I feel like she hates me, and she's always been pushed to a higher level of maturity than she should be exposed to. My son seems to love being around his father, but when I asked him if they would like to spend the summer with him, both of them begged me and begged me and begged me not to make them do that. So is all of this concerning, or am I being dramatic?
This is more like a heartbreaking trend. More and more parents are asking the same painful question. Why did my child leave home and never look back? Some adult children really call. Others speak ill about their parents with anger or disrespect. In some families, the relationship has completely broken down. While every family has its own story, this painful situation didn't happen overnight. They are often the result of years of hurt, misunderstanding, poor communication, or unresolved conflicts. Parenting is one of the greatest responsibility anyone can have. Children don't just need food, clothing, and education. They also need love, patience, guidance, and emotional security. Discipline is also very important. But please, discipline without love can lead to emotional scars. On the other hand, love without boundaries can also produce children who struggle to respect others. The goal is to raise children who feel both deeply loved and wisely guided. When parents listen, encourage, correct with kindness, and lead by example, they laid the foundation for stronger family relationship. If you're watching this video and you are a parent, it's never too late to strengthen your bond with your child. Spending time with them, listening without always trying to win the argument, apologize when you are wrong, and teach them to do the same. Show the respect you hope to receive in return. No family is perfect, but home built on love, understanding, and consistent guidance are far more likely to raise children who cherish their parents instead of running from home. Let's build family where love is stronger than pride and where forgiveness is stronger than pain.
So in November of this year, my daughter went no contact with me. She didn't say it was forever. She said, just, I need to go no contact with you. She didn't give me a time frame, so I don't know when she's coming back or if she's coming back. And when I tell you all I grieved as if that child had left this earth. I cried when I got up. I cried when I went to bed. I cried the whole time in between. Anything could trigger my emotions when it came to, her going no contact with me. I wrote her so many letters trying to explain my whole life away. I wanted to show up at her door, knock on the door with a coffee and go, hey, can we just talk about it? Can I just apologize for everything? I decided if she knocked on my door and said, hey, Mom, I've done all this healing and I'm ready to reconnect and I'm ready to be your daughter again, I was going to scoop her up and I was going to apologize for everything I did for the past 26 years. I was going to apologize for being her mother. If she said, hey, you yelled at me when I was 12 years old and we need to talk about it, I would say, okay. And I was ready to apologize. And then I had an epiphany. I've decided she is more than welcome to knock on my door, and she is more than welcome in my home. She will always have a seat at my table. But she needs to love me where I am too in my healing process. All of us wanted a perfect mother. None of us got one. Our mothers through generations have had their own problems, their own limitations, and we are trying to get better with age. But you know what? It's hard. It's hard to be a woman and it's hard to be a mother. And until you are a mother, you really don't know. And I so badly want her to be a mother so she knows. But that may or may not happen, and that's her choice. But, you know, I want to be loved where I am too. And if she wants to project a perfect image of me onto me and make that a stipulation to be in her life, I'm going to fail, and I will fail every time. I'm ready to be her mother. I've always wanted to be her mother. I need her to love me where I am. When she said, it's not forever, Mama, I don't want to stay away forever. Well, what does she expect me to just be frozen in time? And when she comes back, I'm supposed to pick up where we left off. I don't think we can, because now I'm able to live my life with some joy without her in it. I go places, I see friends and family and do things, and she's not there. She's not part of it. She's not part of it at all. So I've gone on with my life. I'm living my life. And you know, she always will have a place in my home, in my heart. But this idea of her just waltzing back in with rules and stipulations and boundaries, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I have boundaries too. And my life is not centered around a 26-year-old woman who on a whim decides when and if she's going to talk to her mother.
So did y'all know there was a child estrangement epidemic going on? I stumbled upon several Facebook groups and even on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, of hundreds and hundreds of women just broken because their kids have all went no contact. And it all has the same basis, that it was just out of the blue one day. Their kids just said nothing. They just left, cut off the parents, couldn't see your grandkids anymore. It's bizarre to me. And it's even more bizarre that most of the parents are Gen X. I mean, you're talking about broken mama's hearts. I understand there's two sides of the story. You know, there is stories of people that were brutalized or children that were brutalized. You know, I don't think I'd have contact with somebody that brutalized me either. But most of the women that I have seen have no idea why their kids went no contact. And the fact that they're being called evil and narcissist and that they have all this childhood trauma, and it's like the parents and the kids were living two different lives. If you've been affected by this, and if you know what I'm talking about, hit me in the comments. Tell me if you're going through this. I've had some tough times with my kids, and estrangement is probably the most difficult thing I've ever dealt with. But the fact that there's hundreds and hundreds of these cases out there, is it the psychotherapy? I just don't understand it. There's a correlation between that generation and our generation. You know, we just lived. We just did with the best we could. I don't know. Hit me in the comments if you know what I'm talking about, if you've read about it, heard about it, or if you're going through it. I'm really interested. Have a great day.
If your adult child has cut ties with you, you are not alone, and you're not broken. When an adult child walks away, the pain can be suffocating. The first thing I tell parents is, name it for what it is, grief. Estrangement can feel like an invisible loss. There's no funeral, but the absence is real. It's okay to let yourself feel the waves of grief, anger, shock, sadness, confusion. You don't have to be over it or on anyone else's timeline. You can love them and still give them space, and you can also wish for change and protect your mental health. Step 1 is to stop chasing and focus on the things that you can control. What you can work on and control is your healing, your support network, and your sense of worth outside of the relationship. If this is something you're going through, follow me for more practical tools on learning how to cope with estrangement while also keeping the door open for reconciliation.
Hey, estranged parent, somebody sent me this and I want to read it to you. I'm not the best with words and I fumble and jumble my words up all the time, but this person said this beautifully. So I want to read this to you. So there's a rising trend in our culture that very few people want to talk about adult children cutting off their parents. I'm not talking about abuse situation or dangerous relationships. I'm talking about loving, flawed parents who raised their children, gave sacrificially, and are now being completely shut out with no warning, no conversation, no willingness to reconcile. According to research, the vast majority of estrangements between parents and adult children are initiated by the child, not the parent. Often, the parent doesn't even fully know why. One day, the phone calls stop, the texts go unanswered, the holidays are silent, and when you finally hear something, it's often a list of offensives you didn't even know existed. Why is this happening? Because our culture now teaches that anyone who doesn't support how you feel is toxic. Therapy/speak has replaced honor. TikTok influencers and pop psychology encourage cutting people off as an act of self-love. Many adult children are now rewriting their childhoods, relabeling boundaries as trauma, tossing aside their parents like disposable relationships. This is rebellion. It's spiritual deception. It's pride disguised as empowerment. Scripture warned us that this would happen. In the last 7 days, people would be lovers of themselves, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection. 2 Timothy 3. If you're a parent going through this, you're not alone. You're not crazy, and you're not a failure. The enemy is after families, and this is one of his most effective tools right now: deception and division. These parents still have something to give: love, advice, presence, not perfection, but something real. And now it just sits there wasted, not because they failed, but because their children decided they were no longer worth the effort. That is the heartbreak no one talks about. But God sees. He knows the truth. So keep praying, stay grounded, tell your story, refuse bitterness, and don't stop believing that the prodigals can still come home. And then they went on to share a prayer. So, telling you guys, everybody wants to say this has been around forever. And I do think estrangement has been around a long time. But we are in different times now. And the numbers are increasing all the time. So if you're an estranged parent, you're not alone. Don't beat yourself up. You more than likely wasn't a bad parent. You were just thrown away because of this new belief that I just read.
You know, my kids don't talk to me right now. I couldn't be more proud of them. I mean, does it devastate me? Of course it does. Every day, I'm heartbroken, but I couldn't be more proud of them. They're doing what is best for them, and at this point in their life, they think the best choice for them is to not have contact with me. Well, good for you. Like, it makes me cry. I want my children to have their own self-esteem and their own self-love, and they're pursuing it. And yes, it's not the best situation for me, but my job as a parent is to create an environment where they pursue who they want to be and live the life they want to live.
One thing I wish emotionally mature parents knew was you're not angry at your kids. You're fighting ghosts from the generations before you. We just trigger you because we're willing to face what smacked us in the mouth. Your anger should be at your parents, not your kids.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but your own family is going to talk trash about you when you're in the process of breaking their generational curses and behaviors. This work isn't for the weak.
Like, I was all for fucking Trump. Now with Trump passing the law that if your kid's on if you put your baby dad on child support, they're going to be getting the money from the child, like for child tax. How the fuck does that work?
The funniest thing about this is it isn't even true. These MAGA moms are all over the internet right now screaming and crying about how they regretted voting for Trump because Right-wing men who love to control women have spread this rumor all over Twitter, and it's made its way here, stating that if you're a single mother, too bad. If a man pays your child support, he gets to claim your children on his taxes as dependents, even if he hasn't seen them in who knows how long. And they are breaking down. Is this how we win? Well, interestingly enough, it's kind of weird how you don't care how your vote affects anyone else, but you start crying and backtracking when it hypothetically affects you, even if it doesn't actually affect you. And it also shows how susceptible you guys are to misinformation, and how misinformation will literally sway how you think and vote. But regardless, this is how we win. We just tell these single moms out here, spread rumors. Donald Trump signed an executive order stating that you have to pay your baby daddy's car note. Donald Trump signed an executive order stating that you have to pay your baby daddy's fucking mortgage and electric bill. And I guess they'll regret their vote. This is fucking hilarious. Anyways, my name is Mercedes Chandler. Give me a follow or you won't see my face again. Thank you. Goodbye.
More and more people across America are sharing emotional stories about distancing themselves from their parents because of deep political disagreements, especially involving MAGA and support for President Trump. It's a sensitive issue that has divided many families, and we are going to take a closer look at what people are saying and why this conversation has become so popular. Before we break everything down, I want you to watch these clips carefully and listen to the different experiences being shared.
Parents' evening today. I thought I'd do a quick recap on how the kids have traumatised me over the year. Starting off strong. One shit in her shoe. In her school shoe. Shit in her shoe. And I'd love to say it was the youngest, but it wasn't. I was called in once because they were running around the playground going, "Hey fuckers, come and play." Last week, one of them flooded 2 toilets with paper towels. Now this is word of mouth, but he tells me he asked his teacher if she enjoyed buzzballs on the weekend. Not long ago, one of them announced to the entire school that I was pregnant and having a baby. Can't get pregnant, not having a baby. He even made a card for the baby and got the class to sign it. One of them told their teacher that I don't feed them breakfast, ever, and they're starving. And when they went to one of the others to ask if this was true, he backed up the story and said, "Yep, my mom does not feed me breakfast." And they figured out very quickly that if they did that, they got breakfast at school. I was called in once because one of them ripped up all the phonics cards for the class. She said she didn't enjoy phonics that day, so took it upon herself to hide them and then rip them. One is a snack thief. Been called in a few times over that. Promise I feed them, I promise I do. One crapped at Forest School, not once, not twice, 3 times. There's something with my kids where they just like to shit outside. One went through a stage of going in timeout, and she told me she likes to go in timeout because she has a moment's peace. Wish me luck for later.
I so much believe that some parents are the cause of all this negative attitude from their children. Parents should avoid over-pampering and stop granting their every demands when they are still younger. Let them be disciplined. Some of these clips also show how political difference can sometimes grow into personal conflict that affect families in different ways. If you enjoy watching this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share it with others. And turn on your notification so that you never miss our future videos. Thanks for watching. I will see you again in the next one.